I've played Terraria for 8 years now, and every single playthrough it does not disappoint. But sometimes I feel like it's a bit too easy. I know, how about we add some mods? This is the Infernum Mod, an add-on to Terraria's most popular and my favourite mod, Calamity. This mod adds a whole nother level of difficulty to the game. It adds bosses, very hard bosses, extremely hard bosses, and a bunch of items. So I'm going to be attempting to beat the game with this mod. And if you guys like these types of videos, be sure to subscribe because they take a long time to make, and I'm trying to reach 2k by the end of this year. Enough waiting around, let's start this fucking video. My day started off like every other day. Sad, lonely, and tiring because I have to play the hardest mod in Terraria. But you know, I have to make a video, so yeah. Anyway, for this playthrough I didn't know which class would be best, so as any unsure person would do, I spun a wheel. Luckily for me, I ended up getting melee, which means for this whole playthrough, I have to be swinging around pointy sticks to defeat my enemies. I started to cook up the shittest house to ever exist in Terraria history. But because I have the attention span of a goldfish, I got bored and I went into the nearest cave. And of course, because Infernum is a mod that's hard as bowls, I ended up dying. Tell me, why the fuck are skeletons throwing goddamn bones at me? Like, what the fuck did I do to you? Later, I ended up going back into the caves and I ended up finding a life crystal and a gold chest, inside of which was a nice pair of juicy Hermes boots. A bit scared of what might happen next, I recalled back home and finished up the house. I then went back into the caves once again, and this proved to be a very big mistake. Bro, what the fuck? I'm not even water-wise. Bro, I need a new weapon. I just keep dying. No. Oh my god. What the fuck? Right, so our three choices are the Enchanted Sword, Star Fury, and the Blade of Grass. I decided that our best option would be the Star Fury. But before I started looking for that, I went ahead and crafted myself a platinum chainmail, which means that we're one step closer to dripping ourselves out in that full platinum fit. Before I could get any more platinum shit, I got myself some tungsten greaves and a tungsten helmet, which now meant that we have that mix and match type of drip. All kitted out now, I started roping up in order to look for a Scarlet and find my Star Fury. I'm tired of this fucking mod. I've had enough. I'm gonna jump. 3, 2, 1. While I was bridging in space, I ended up finding a Scarlet, and luckily for me, inside, waiting to be picked, was my sweet little Star Fury. Now that I've got a Star Fury, I can start farming for the Blade of Grass as well. So, I went over to the jungle biome in search for some spores, stingers, and vines, and once I had enough, I crafted myself the Blade of Grass, which meant that now, I had 2 really good swords that I can use. Before we challenge any bosses, there are actually a few things we need to do. First of which is to go ahead and get myself a blizzard in a bottle. So I went over to the snow biome, and after searching for about 30 minutes, I couldn't find anything. I ended up going back home and just crafting it instead. Oh Ricky, why didn't you just do that from the start? Because I didn't want to, it's as simple as that. I also mined up a bunch more platinum and finished off my armor set by getting the leggings and helmet. Ah, that's better. I expanded my base, and once it became nighttime, I decided to challenge our first boss, the Eye of Cthulhu. I'm actually fairly confident with this one. We have a ton of cool weapons, and I don't know, I feel like we can do... Bro, what? Oh my god. I decided to go to the right side of the world to test my luck against the Desert Scourge. But before I could do that, slime started falling from the sky. Yeah, actually, let's just fight King Slime. I mean, he's an easy boss, it's just easy loot, right? There's no way, No, I'm just done with this mod. I'm fucking done. I don't even know why I downloaded this mod. Alright, since it's daytime anyway, let's just go get the summon for the Desert Scourge. So, I killed a bunch of the enemies in order to get the materials for it. I went ahead and made the Desert Medallion, which is the summon, built a quick little platform, and then summoned him in. This fight was definitely a tough one. I died like 50 times just trying to beat him over and over again. Luckily, in the end, with 2 health remaining, I somehow managed to defeat him. I don't know how the hell I managed to pull this off, but you know, I ain't complaining. I went back home and I got myself some sea remains and crafted myself the full Victide armor set. Great, now I look like a fucking clam. Oh, I smell like fish as well. I wanted to make myself an enchanted sword, but in order to do so I had to get some more pearl shards. So I went back to the desert biome, and with my newly acquired gear, I did absolutely fucking nothing. I don't know why I couldn't defeat him this time. I decided to just go to bed and just leave it alone. When I woke up the next morning, I felt pretty confident and decided to challenge him one last time. And to my surprise, I ended up defeating him pretty easily and getting enough pearl shards to craft myself an enchanted sword, which now meant that I had 3 really powerful and really cool weapons that I can use against later bosses. I decided to test my luck against the Eye of Cthulhu, and I actually ended up defeating him pretty easily after about 37 attempts.
No way.
Yeah, that much.
What the fuck?
Welcome to the Infernum Mod. The next boss to fight in this long and challenging playthrough is Mr. Crabulon. So, I went over to the glowing mushroom biome, added a cheeky little platform, and once that was ready, I summoned him in. I'm fairly confident with this one. I mean, he's a pretty easy boss. I feel like we can beat... What the fuck? After dying another 2 times, I said, fuck you, Mr. Crabulon, I don't need your loot anyway, and I got the hell out of there. The next boss we can fight is the Brain of Cthulhu. So I went over to the Crimson biome, broke a couple of hearts, and summoned him in. After getting my eyes completely whooped, I expanded my arena a little bit, and still managed to die. So, out of pure anger, I took it all out on the fat slob that is Infernum King Slime, who went down without a single problem. The next thing I did was I fought the Goblin army, found the Goblin Tinkerer, and combined a couple of my accessories together. I then made myself a quick little arena on the surface of the Crimson biome, thinking that this would help. However, I ended up dying, cause Infernum does some fucked up shit to the brain, with all of his projectiles, and even a goddamn laser. Like, who the fuck gave the Brain of Cthulhu a motherfucking laser? But after a long fight, I ended up defeating him in the end.
Thank God. Oh my God. Fuck you.
Using his brain bits, I crafted myself a Deathbringer pickaxe. I then went straight to hell, not because of my internet search history, but to get some hellstone to craft myself a full set of molten Balenciaga. Now that I'm all dripped out, I decided to go to the Crimson to pick on the perforators. And of course, I ended up dying. Twice. If only there was some other weapon that's a million times better and shreds through the perforators. Which is why I kept on fighting him. Nah, I'm just kidding. I went to hell, got the sword, and obliterated the perforators. Ew. With the perforators gone, the sky was now shining with cyan light, which meant that now we can mine up some of that sweet aerolite ore, which I then used to craft myself a nice pair of skyline wings and a broken biome blade. I then decided to challenge the slime god, and somehow I managed to kill them on my first attempt. I guess I'm just built different. Using the materials that he dropped, I crafted myself a fractured arc and the full armor set. Our next task is to defeat Skeletron. So, when it became night... God damn it, I fucking hate this guy. While I was fighting Skeletron, it definitely gave me a testicular torsion the amount of times I died to him and his stupid projectiles. At one point, I decided that...
Enough is enough! Enough is enough!
So, I locked in and killed that stupid son of a bitch. With the dungeon now open, I went inside and found a Murasama and a cobalt shield. I went back home and crafted myself some frostbark boots. I then drank whatever dinky buffs I had and went down to hell to summon in the wall of flesh. With the wall of flesh now defeated, that means that our world is now plunged into hard mode, which means that our world is way more harder and we'll have to face even more challenges along the way. But we'll cross that bridge once we get there. One thing to note is that Calamity completely reworks early hard mode progression. Normally in vanilla, you work your way up the different tiers of hard mode ores for like 5 minutes. Then you take out the mechs with full tier 3 armor. Unfortunately, this just is not the case in Calamity. You start hard mode with the first tier of ores, and with every mechanical boss defeated, the next tier gets released into the world. So here I am sitting down with my shitty cardboard armor and really shitty weapons. So let's do something about that. Let's get a new weapon, in particular the Caustic Edge, as it is fantastic against early hard mode bosses. I went ahead and got all the materials for this weapon, and once I had enough, I went back home and crafted the Tainted Blade, and then upgraded that to the Caustic Edge. We now had a really cool weapon that we can use against later bosses, but my thirst for power did not allow just one weapon. I wanted more! Something that would absolutely shred through bosses, something that would obliterate them. I wanted the Avalanche, a weapon that absolutely melts the destroyer. However, to obtain this beast of a weapon, I need to fight the Ice Cube himself, Cryogen. So that's exactly what I did, and in the end I ended up melting his fat ass. Huh, get it? Melting? Cause he's an ice cube? That wasn't funny, was it? Anyway, on my first attempt I didn't actually get the Avalanche, but on my second attempt I did, which is pretty lucky. Now that I have an absolute unit of a weapon, I craft a mechanical worm and then summon in the destroyer. This fight definitely made my asshole tingle and burn. I got penetrated by that giant metal dildo like 50 times before I eventually killed him. Finally, bro, finally! Oh my god, that took way too long. With our first mechanical boss now defeated, that means that the next tier of hard mode ores is released upon the world. So, of course, I mined myself up some mithril and made the armor set and pickaxe. I also made myself a scarf of evasion. Yay, now I can dash further away from child support. How great. Feeling confident in myself, I summoned in Skeletron Prime. Let me tell you, this fight was actually surprisingly easy. I mean, we only died like 50,000 times. Not that many actually. Also, whoever added a fucking death laser to Skeletron Prime, I'ma find you. Before we challenged the twins, I crafted myself a Forbidden Oath sword and went ahead and mined some of that sweet titanium, which I then made into a pickaxe, and because I'm stupid and I forgot that there's a better armor set, I made the titanium armor set as well. A few minutes later, when my 2 brain cells finally fired up and I remembered about this armor set, I went over to the Ice Biome to mine some chronic ore and drip myself out in a full Daedalus fit. I also made myself a Flare Frostblade. I then decided to challenge our last mechanical boss, the twins. Infernum twins are stupid, they're insanely fast, do heaps amount of damage, and are just... Wait, it's already over? Okay then. Now that I have defeated all 3 of the mechanical bosses, I can now upgrade a bunch of weapons. I then crafted myself an Eye of Desolation and summoned in the false witch, Calamitas. This fight was definitely really fun. It was just so fucking hard, like I'm not even joking. I died like 50,000 times. I don't know why I kept dying. I had good weapons, I had good defense. Maybe it was just the amount of stupid projectiles that she shot out. In the end, I just decided to fucking leave this boss alone and go fight Plantera. So, I maxed out my health with life fruits, and then built a quick little arena, and summoned her in. After I got completely fucking pummeled into the ground, I decided to get myself some fresh new kicks since we just don't run fast enough. So, I made myself some Terra Spark boots, and then upgraded those into the Angel Treads. While we're here, why don't we just get a fucking Ang Shield as well? Alright, I'm confident, I'm all kitted up, let's just dive right in. Are you fucking kidding me? Alright, let's try that one more time. I'm sure it was just the lag or something. Are you serious? Alright, one last chance. No fucking way. Final chance, Plantera, or else I'm leaving and I'm quitting this world forever. Thank fucking god, there was no reason for you to be that hard, you fucking planty ass bitch. Get your ass out of here. After defeating Plantera, I went ahead and mined a bunch of perennial ore and made myself look like Boba Fett with the full Reaver armor set. I also made myself an Ariate booster, which is basically like a jetpack or something. Feeling absolutely iced out to the teeth, I decided to challenge the false witch Calamitas for the final time. Now that we've defeated the false witch Calamitas, we got some broken hero swords, which we then used to make ourselves a Terror Blade, Blighted Cleaver, and the Arc of the Ancients. I also upgraded my Ankh Shield into an Asgard's Valor. Feeling all geared up, I went over to the Lizard Temple to try and pick on Golem. Let me tell you, this fight is so fucking annoying. Like, it wasn't even that hard, it just takes so fucking long. If you somehow manage to die, you have to go all the way back over there and slowly chip his health down to where it was before. And even then, you have to fight for another hour before you eventually kill him. Finally! Oh my days! Oh my god. After I defeated that stupid bitch Golem, I crafted myself the full Beetle armor set and a really powerful weapon, the Omni Blade. I also crafted myself the Fallen Paladin's Hammer, which is yet another powerful weapon that we can use. With all of these new weapons now acquired, our next step in progression is to get some Empress Wings. The biggest problem with this is the Empress of Light is so fucking hard. Like, what the fuck is all this bullshit? She's making my house look like a whole ass light show. Alright, let's just try Astrum Deus. Fuck! One of my subscribers reckoned that there was a really powerful weapon that was dropped by Golem that might help a bit. Apparently something called the Aegis Blade or something. So I went ahead and bought a bunch of Golem treasure bags, and once I got it, I tested it out on the Empress of Light. Bro, chaps, what the hell were you yapping about? You just made me do all of that hard work for nothing! This weapon is dog water, shit, shizen, whatever you want to call it. It's just really bad. This weapon is ass compared to my Omni Blade. Look at that damage, bro. Anyway, we might not even need to fight the Empress of Light, because I found some wings that are just as good as the Empress wings and are easier to get. Yep, you guessed it, the Fishron wings. But in order to get these wings, I need to fight Duke Fishron himself. But he's too fucking easy. I absolutely obliterated him and got my wings on the first try. Feeling really confident with these new and amazing wings, I took on Astrum Deus, the space dildo himself. Alright, so now that he's gone, I can mine up some of that sweet astral ore, which can only be turned into bars with an ancient manipulator, which is pretty fucked. So, I went over to the dungeon and killed the furry loving local cult to summon in the lunatic cultist. I personally thought that this fight wasn't even that bad. The only reason I ended up dying was because his desperation phase caught me off guard. On my second attempt, when I knew what his attacks were, I fucking pummeled him into the ground. Great, now we can finally make some astral bars, which I then used to forge myself a true biome blade. Using this weapon, I quickly blasted through all of the pillars, and then it was Moonlord time. With the Moonlord's jizz flying all over my arena, the credits started to roll. But unfortunately for me, we're not done yet. There's still a plethora of little bitches that want their share in twisting and whooping my ass. But before we deal with them, I made myself the full solar armor set, the Arc of the Elements, and 2 other really good weapons. I then went to the Profaned Garden, and using the Profaned Shard, I summoned in the Profaned Guardians. I then fought the Profaned Goddess Providence. After defeating Providence, I got myself an item called the Rune of Cos, which summons 3 different bosses when used in different areas. But we'll get back to that in a second. For now, I went ahead and made myself a Morning Star, which is a fantastic weapon, and then I went to the jungle to mine up some Ulibloom ore and craft myself the full Tarragon armor set. Going back to the Rune of Cos that we received earlier, the 3 bosses that it summons are Cygnus in Hell, the Ceaseless Void in the dungeon, and the Storm Weaver in space. Before I challenged the Devourer of Gods, I quickly fought the Poltergeist, and once he was done, I got myself the Last Morning, which is a fantastic sword against the Devourer of Gods. Oh, and I also got a Banshee hook from the Poltergeist. I then went to the Brimstone Crag and fucking squashed all of the local wildlife into a pulp in order to get some Bloodstone for our next armor set. After about an hour of grinding, I had enough and I made myself some Bloodstone core and then made myself the full Bloodflare armor set. At this moment, I decided that I was pretty geared up, so I used the Cosmic Worm to summon in the Devourer of Gods. Infernum Devourer of Gods is interesting. It's not like the rest of the Infernum bosses where it's a bullet hell of just lasers and fucking bullshit just flying at you. It's mainly just about dodging his head, because if he hits you, you're dunzo bonanzo, mate. Other than that, if you can memorize his movements and dodge them, you can beat him with just about anything. With the Devour of Gods now defeated, he dropped a bunch of Cosmolite bars which I then used to make a Cosmic Anvil and make a Galaxy Smasher. I then did those annoying hard mode events which now drop new items. And when you combine all 3 of these new items, you get Ascendant Spirit Essence. Using this, I then crafted myself a Galaxia which has 4 different attack styles. I also made myself the full Godslayer set as well as upgrading some of my previous accessories. By now, I was an absolute fucking god, and that's why I decided to go challenge the Jungle Dragon Yaron. Bro, why the fuck is he so hard? He's so fast and he dashes at me every 2 seconds. And that's just phase 1. When you get him really low, he comes back with full health and you have to repeat the whole fight once again. This fight is just so fucking hard. But thank God, eventually, with a lot of patience and a lot of perseverance, I eventually killed that motherfucker. And I ended up dying just as I killed him. Bro, I literally fucked him up so hard that he turned into chicken nuggets. Now that Yaron has been defeated, that means we now have access to mining up some auric ore. When I went back home, I went ahead and turned them into bars and made myself the full auric Tesla armor set. By combining the Arc of the Elements, the Galaxia, and a little bit of auric bars, I made myself the Arc of the Cosmos, which is a fantastic weapon. I also made myself the Rampart of Deities and the Seraph Traces, which are both really useful accessories. I then went down to hell to get my favourite Calamity melee weapon, the Murasama, but for some reason because of my insta-bridge it wasn't there and it had been deleted from my world. I just decided to cheat it in, and no, that's not cheating because it was in the world, now it's not. I then decided to spawn in our final boss in this long and tiring playthrough, Supreme Calamitas. And there you have it, Calamity Infernum Mod. What a journey. I had so much fun playing this, and if you guys have made it this far into the video, be sure to subscribe because it takes so long to edit these videos.